What's up, everybody? It's Alex from Heavy New York, and on the phone we got Lena from Infected Rain. Thank you so much for your time today, Lena.
Hi, no problem. It's my pleasure.
Of course. So the new record, Endorphin, is absolutely amazing. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
What I was curious is, do you consider this just a direct follow-up to the '86 record, or do you think that this record is like a new start for Infected Rain?
I wouldn't call it a new start. It's definitely a new level and a new step in our career, but it's definitely very connected to everything we did before. Definitely. It can't be considered like a completely different, yeah. It's connected to what we did before, and especially to '86. That is our previous album.
Yeah. Well, what I find unique is that your music is so experimental. Like, I think on this particular record, a song like The Earth Mantra is completely different from a song like Lure, and that's completely different from a song like Pendulum.
Yeah.
I guess it's fair to say you like to experiment with your sound as much as possible, right?
Yes, it's more than that. We just don't really want to ever be in a box. We want to be free to write whatever comes from the heart and not follow any rules or any, I don't know, definitions, that's pretty much more accurate, I think. We do like to experiment, but we still stay a little bit in our own world of just, giving whatever comes from the heart, because we've done different songs before Endorphin, and yeah, some of them were very shocking to our fans. Some of them were very surprising to our fans in a good and in a bad way, until to the point where people just started liking this particular quality of Infected Rain,
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, when you compare, like, to the Asylum record and you compare that to Embrace Eternity and so on and so forth, I feel like there is, like, a natural progression with every record, right? There's still, like, taking a new approach.
I do hope so, because I want to believe that we grow as people, we grow as musicians, we grow as personalities, and I do hope that there is a big, difference, but still a connection.
Of course. And being that you have so many usages of your voice, like in the song like Asylum, the voices that, like, where you're having that sort of rapping style behind it, but then you have like Orphan Soul where there's clean singing and very heavy singing, and then Storm off the newer record which has all clean singing. When you do utilize a different usage of your voice, obviously it's a different technique, but you also is there also a different energy, right? And maybe a different side of you're expressing? Is there a different
I think, and I will quote my vocal teacher, there shouldn't be a very big difference between singing, screaming, or speaking. And yes, the atmosphere is different, the mood is different, the emotion that I try to deliver is different. But the technique is pretty much the same, the position of my voice and the idea of the way I use my vocal cords. It's pretty much the same, Now, the variety that you can hear in my voice is mainly based on the emotion I'm trying to deliver and the emotion that I'm feeling like in that moment, particularly.
Do you have to put yourself in the emotion first before you start singing, or does the emotion come like naturally? Like, does it capture a moment?
It comes very natural because I am the one writing the lyrics for Infected Rain, and I write only about what is happening in my own life, around my own life, about the people that surround me, situations that I'm going through or have been through. Somehow, they touched me deep inside. We have sad songs and we have, more aggressive songs, and we have more we have love songs. So all those emotions are super familiar to me, and till these days, on stage I have very often times when I can barely hold on because I have tears in my eyes, goosebumps nonstop. Like, there are songs on this record that I'm very, very afraid to perform live because it was so hard for me to even record them. I'm excited about it, but I know it's not going to be easy on the emotional level.
When it comes to lyrics, because we just talked about the different usages of your voice, but do you need to hear the music before you come up with the exact lyrics, or does a concept ever determine the music itself?
It's both. So I write all the time, no matter what. Doesn't matter if we have to record new stuff or not. I'm kind of used to that. I started writing when I was 14 in different languages during my life, so way before the band, right? And it kind of became a little bit like my therapy. It's just a way for me to put my thoughts on a paper, and I love using the old-fashioned, just notebook and a pen that I carry around all the time, and I just write. Now, I do complete some of the lyrics way before I even know what is the melody that is going to go with. And then my boy's also the same, especially Vidik, our guitar player, which is the main songwriter. He also writes pretty much all the time. But when we choose the songs for the album, that's when I sit down, I listen to them, and I choose them energy and the emotion that melody gives me, and then I choose what lyrics go where. And so you can say that the melody goes first, and then I apply lyrics to it, and I write my own vocal melody.
Yeah, and Vidik, I really appreciated his riff style, and to go from that aggressive first part to the Earth Mantra and just completely switch over to the clean vocal style. I mean, that's very impressive. I'd imagine he has to adjust his instrumentals to sort of fit the style of voice.
Very rare. More often I will put my ideas on a little recorder, right? When I really like them, and then he's the first person that is I feel the closest with regarding the procedure of recording and writing, because we both started the band, so that's why I feel a little bit closer connection with him. So he more likely he would suggest certain modifications for me, for example, or he will be like, oh, this is absolutely amazing idea, what if we change this in the guitars, or what if we put this riff on top of what you're singing, or as a background, or as a back vocals, what if you double what I do with the guitar, and I will just throw away the guitar and it's going to be a vocal part. So little things like that we do together later on, which is little accessories to the song. So more like this, but never fully changing or adopting the melody for my voice. It never happened so far in 4 albums. We really have a good connection here, and it works out well so far.
Of course, definitely. It says a lot within your catalog. What I find unique is because your lyrics are so personal and come from an emotion, do you try to leave the lyrics open to interpretation, or do you try to maybe get the listener to sort of see things from your point of view?
Both. It all depends what I'm talking about. I would say both, yes. Okay.
Because I thought Orphan Soul, the lyrics to that were very, very personal, but I think the Earth Mantra is a little more, I guess, for lack of better words, a little political or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. I would say both. Yeah, they are both, because they are both very familiar to me and very personal to me. The Earth Mantra is as well, because I never wrote lyrics regarding the earth or the environment, and I did with the Earth Mantra because lately it's been something I'm going through, and it's been something I started noticing, and it's been something I'm trying to be better at. So that's why I felt the urge to literally scream about it, because I see all this disaster that we live in, So it is super personal, just as personal as my childhood was for me and the inspiration for Orphan Soul.
Of course. Of course, because like I thought, like with these lyrics, they are like I feel like the music in itself too has just as much mood as the lyrics in itself. So it's unique how they play off. I thought like one of the most atmospheric songs on the record was Pendulum with the harmonies behind the screams. Like that was, I thought, very, very eerie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you noticing those little things.
Yeah, I've listened to the record like 10 times now.
Oh, good. Good to know.
Yeah. One thing I was also really curious about is when you write the songs about the mood that you're in, like, because sometimes, you have to work on the songs for multiple days or multiple hours.
Yes.
So, like, do you have to, when you start off feeling a certain way when writing a song, do you have to kind of maintain that feeling in order to finish it?
Not really. Very often when I write lyrics, there are just ideas that I throw there, I just put them on the paper, and very often I have to get back into them for many reasons. It could be a reason, for example, one of the reasons could be that this feeling is too intense at the moment that I can't even find the correct words. Another reason could be that I don't think I felt this emotion through properly. So I will go back into it when I think about it a little bit more, and when I understand between me and me what is the exact thing I want to say here. Right? So it depends. Sometimes I just write it all down in like one day or like literally a few hours. Very often I write on the road when we are touring. The distances are so big, and very often it's just, you have a lot of time to think and a lot of time for memories, or something happens. A lot of things happened to me on tour during the past 2 years especially, unfortunately. But things that, I never thought I'm going to even go through, but they became very familiar to me, and that's how I wrote most of the lyrics for Endorphin. It all depends. It depends what exactly I'm talking about. If it is a very, very unique and specific feeling we're talking about, then you definitely are not feeling this just now, today. You're definitely going to feel that for a week, 2, or, a month or a whole year.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned that there's some songs that you are like rather intimidated to play live because of the emotional element that clearly you use pain as a paintbrush, but when you finally do execute them live, is there a different energy that you put into your live presence than when you're in songwriting mode?
A little bit, yes, because I get connected with people. I am very physical, and I love like looking people in the eyes and actually directly screaming to their faces. It kind of gives me that feeling of complete. I don't know, I feel complete, my goal is to deliver, and only while looking in somebody's eyes I see and I know I did. A lot of people that have been to our shows, they know I need to touch them very often and just like be close to the fans and actually feel what they are feeling while I do that. So that is probably the difference. And also obviously every time when you record piece by piece, and you repeat the same piece until yes, here it is, that's the emotion, that's the feeling, that's exactly what I wanted, or this is the key, or whatever it is that you're working on. On a live performance, you play the song from the start till the end without stopping, and it's just like a huge wave of emotion, and when you're done you feel so relieved.
Of course.
It is my therapy. I would never be able to live without it.
Yeah, of course. And that was why I asked the other question about like maintaining emotion in the recording, because when you're recording it piece by piece, sometimes you don't even record things linearly. So like I'd imagine that's sometimes like, for lack of better words, it's almost kind of like a mood killer sometimes when other things get in the way.
It is, but I'm very lucky to work with people that know me so well already. And our sound engineer that recorded this album is the same guy that recorded everything before, and we know each other forever, and I feel like he really knows what I'm capable of, and he very often tells me, hey, I don't feel you here. I know what you're trying to say, but let's try a few more times, or something like that, right? Or vice versa, I will have a breakdown or a moment, or vice versa, I'm not feeling that specific emotion in that second, and I will talk to them, and they will give me time to like read a few times the whole lyrics and like relive it again and feel that emotion again, so I make sure that I deliver it. So working with people that know who you are, know where you come from, and know what you're capable of helps infinitely.
Very interesting. And I'd imagine outside input is always good to kind of maintain structure a little bit as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have 2 more questions for you, if that's cool. And normally this is the hardest question for every artist I've ever interviewed to answer, but after talking to you, I think you have I think you'd be able to answer this better than anybody. How do you know when a song is done?
When I hear it and I feel it, then I know it's done. Because, as I said, all our songs are very emotional. And, you know, I'm a huge, huge fan of my own band. And I know a lot of musicians probably are not, or will, you know, try to criticize that in a way. But I am a huge, huge fan of Infected Rain and all of our songs. And I listen to them with big, big pleasure. So when I listen to it and I feel it, it means it's done. It means, I know, I achieved the goal.
Very well, yeah. Like, I feel like, you know, some people don't know how to answer it, so they say when I get the final mix back or something like that, just because.
No, actually, even raw material, I have a pretty good imagination. And again, working with the same people for so many years gives me the idea of what the final result is going to be. So I don't really need that in order to understand how awesome it's going to be. You know, and, but yeah. For sure. I if I listen to it like in the recording studio already, even sometimes certain songs even before we go to the recording studio and they are just recorded raw in a rehearsal studio with like, you know, nothing basically, just like home recording, right? Even sometimes certain songs already then are like, yes, perfect, this is what I want. You know, like we got it here.
Yeah, and once you express the emotion and everything you were trying to say, that's all you need to say. And the final question I wanted to ask you is, coming from being that Infected Rain, I know that you currently reside in Vegas, but the rest of the band is still in Moldavia, right?
Yes, Moldova, yeah.
Yeah, Moldova, sorry.
No problem.
But is there, because I actually had a friend who toured down the Balkan Peninsula, like he played in Sarajevo and Belgrade and Skopje and all those cities. He said there is actually a lot of metal like in that region of the world. You're from the capital city of Moldova?
Yes, yes. We are from the capital, all of us, but unfortunately Moldova is not very famous for metal. Not many musicians made it. We have a few bands and a few musicians in the different genres that are touring a lot, and I'm super, super proud of them. But Moldova is very, very poor and very, very small country, and it's been like that for a while. Things are changing, but very slowly, but still musicians and artists, especially younger generation, they don't get any kind of support, any kind of opportunities. We don't even have clubs to play. We don't have festivals or stuff like that. In order to show our music, we have to rent for a big amount of money a place and like do our own promotion and try to have people at the show. We do have a few people that are trying to do that, like trying to create shows here and there, but that's very, very rare. That's why we try our best to play outside Moldova more. And this is how we started too. You know, back in the days, it was exactly the same situation. Very once in a while, somebody like a little bit more brave is investing and is actually opening a rock or alternative pub or a club or whatever you want to call it. But unfortunately, it doesn't survive for long. A year, 2, 3 maximum.
Really?
Yes. It's pretty sad because we have an insane amount of talented musicians, a lot. older generation, like my age, and a way younger generation. Very often when I'm in Moldova, I get to know some of them, or I get to like actually go to some events that accidentally happen here and there. I really like going to shows, and it's very, very pleasant to know that people are trying. It is a little bit easier nowadays because we don't need visas to go everywhere, like only certain countries, but it used to be really, really hard. When Infected Rain started, we used to need visas to go even to our neighbors, Romania, Bulgaria, Hungary. It was very difficult. Every time we had to go through paperwork, payments, embassy appointments, demonstrating to everybody that we just want to really play a show and come back. It was frustrating. We had to change passports every year or two. But yeah, that nonsense stopped like, 6 years ago, because we are more part of like Europe, not yet a European community country, but it became a little bit easier to travel certain places. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, of course. Can we be expecting you to tour North America anytime soon?
Definitely working on that. It's been a while since we're trying, but now because we are a signed band and we have a management and booking agencies behind us, or let's say on board with us, which is better. We are really hoping that 2020 is going to be the year that we are going to finally visit America, because believe it or not, we have the biggest following here, although we never even played here.
Yeah, it was like that with a lot of bands, I noticed. In America, like European metal is like put on such a pedestal. Like the people don't even care about the sound. Sometimes when they just hear that a band is from Europe, they're like, "Oh, I got to check this band out." So,
which is good.
Yeah, but I know a lot of people who are eagerly awaiting for you all to come and play here.
Yay!
Yeah. So before we go,
I'm excited. Yes, we are working on that, definitely.
Awesome. Please hit New York City.
Definitely.
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. It was very nice to talk to you.
Of course. Likewise. Is there just anything else you would like to promote? I know that Endorphin comes out October 18th via Napalm Records. Correct. You have the tour with Elevite and Lacuna Coil coming up, right?
Correct. In autumn, yes. Very excited about that. But mainly I would say, the one and only message that I'm trying to deliver every time is we exist because of you guys, because of our listeners, our fans. So please, if you like a band, don't just sit at home. Go to shows, go visit, the clubs they're playing, especially if it's somewhere around your city. Your support is priceless, like really, really priceless. So yeah, don't sit at home on your couch.
Of course. People complain when clubs close, but like the people who complain about clubs closing are the people who never are at those clubs to begin with. So
true.
Yeah, but thank you so much, Lena.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Everybody, we are here with Lena of Infected Rain. Endorphin out October 18th via Napalm Records. Be sure to pick that up. This is Alex from Heavy New York. We'll see you next time.